What's up, everyone, and welcome back to yet another episode of the Chromecast. My name is Joe, joined here today by Robbie.
What's up?
Gabriel.
Hello.
And Andy Cam.
Hey, guys.
And Paul. And Dan.
Yep.
And that's it.
Full names.
That's it. That's it for
Paul.
today.
Well, I guess not.
Yeah. Paul the
They don't say our
Platypus.
full names.
It's Mr.
Dan the Dino.
Platypus.
Yeah.
Mr.
I think we need a new name.
For the cactus.
Clifford the Cactus.
I was going to go with
Cliff.
Carl. Carl the
Carl.
cacti.
Ooh, I like Carl.
Carl's nice. Carl's
That's
nice.
a group of three. Is Coral the Cacti.
Coral.
So
Coral the cacti.
we were in the last episode, I gave Andy crap about not wearing his golf shirt, and then he didn't wear a golf shirt again.
He wore one
And I'm the only one with one on.
Yep, he wore one yesterday.
We should do
these
do
are
an
the-
episode where we go full blown, everyone wearing full golf attire.
Belts. I want my cleats on.
Yeah.
I woke up this morning.
That's happening
I looked
next
at the
week.
weather and I was like, "Oh, it's not going to be too bad today. I'm going to wear jeans." So
Bad idea.
Well, we did.
only 87.
We did our Canary Crew live stream. Shout out to that group. Our highest tier over on Patreon. If you're interested in some of that cool stuff, go check it out. But we do a live stream, and I've been doing a special name for each of the live streams, and this one was Summer Sizzler Edition.
It's
warm.
true.
because
real hot
because
here.
Kentucky, Central Kentucky right now is boiling hot.
It's not just us. It's most of the country.
It is. It's
Yeah.
a
Dealing with
heat
this.
wave, really. Yeah, and so we did our Summer Sizzler edition. We need a
Not to be confused
awesome.
with Western Sizzlin',
No.
the
This,
now defunct steakhouse.
Is it really like
I'm pretty sure Western Sizzlin's gone.
Because there was
Andrew-
Western Sizzlin' and then there was Sizzler.
I don't
Yeah,
even know.
Sizzler was like the big brand.
So
but Western,
Sizzler
I've
was
never
up on
heard
the
of this
hill,
in my
wasn't
entire
it?
life.
No, there was not a Sizzler in E-Town.
Oh,
so
was that
Sizzler was
Western
down in front
Sizzlin'?
of Sears and Radcliffe. That was a Sizzler.
Okay, that's what it was.
Western Sizzlin' was the one up there.
So
What do
what
we
was
got
the
here?
big Mexican restaurant over by the interstate?
One of the other ones. Remember, because there were like 3 or 4 different brands of that. It was a steakhouse, the big pitched roof, and you walked in. You usually got a steak, and they had a salad bar. And you walked up.
Because the one by the interstate, they had a buffet. Because my
Is that
dad's
Western
company.
Steer?
Yeah, Western
Western
Steer.
Yeah,
Steer
okay.
was that one.
Yeah.
And then there was there not a Western Sizzlin'?
Not that I
Something
know of.
sizzling, and it was because it sounded like Sizzler.
No, I'm pretty
Sizzling.
sure the one by the hospital.
I bet you it was probably here in E-Town.
Probably.
It probably wasn't a
Western
chain.
Sizzler.
Some random restaurant
Maybe.
that didn't make it.
There were 46 Western Sizzlins as of 2020.
Okay.
There you go.
There you go.
So I remember
Not to be confused with
Yeah.
Sizzler,
Right,
which I think is
Sizzler.
also gone too.
probably.
Andy
Because
Cam?
then there's also Ponderosa.
Yep,
Which
Ponderosa.
That was by
that was in
the-
front of Peddler's
Oh,
Mall.
Yeah.
what was the one in the mall though? Remember the front of the mall?
Yeah, we went and looked at it. Remember what was that? Oh, it was so disgusting. They just left
Sizzler
everything.
still
Like,
exists.
Okay.
what was the name of that?
There's Ponderosa, and then it was the exact same thing. It's like if they had 4 concepts for restaurants back then. They were like, well, you got to be one of 4 things. You got to be a pizza place.
Yeah.
You got to be a steakhouse with the buffet / salad
Yeah.
bar. You got to be a McDonald's fast food hamburger joint,
Yep.
or I don't know. That's about it.
And then you get Ryan's. It's all of it.
Yeah, there you go.
Or just a full blown.
Ryan's,
All right.
Ryan's came in flamed out with the massive
Yeah.
buffet and just completely
Do we
went
still
out of
have
business.
Orion's?
No, it's gone.
It's
The
gone.
building
It's
is
flat,
leveled.
isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually gone.
That was one of those stereotypical. We used to go on trips in school, and we'd always get excited because like we're gonna go to Ryan's. Because when you're a teenager, you'll eat everything, and it's like Ryan's in my mind was like this awesome place.
Yeah.
Then E-Town opened one, and I remember going there and
It
thinking
was nice there too.
for a
little while.
after a while, it's like this is garbage.
Oh, it was a
like,
dump.
It is. Oh,
It's the least common denominator
I'd
of
rather
food.
go to Golden Corral.
I haven't been to Golden Corral in a
what
decade
was
either.
the
My wife
place
won't
in
go
the
to
mall?
buffets.
What was that? That's going to drive
I
me
got
crazy.
it.
You do?
Maybe
Bonanza.
someone,
Bonanza,
maybe
yeah.
someone listening who drove through Elizabethtown in the 90s
'Cause
will
we-
send us a Twitter message.
Because when we
No.
went there and looked at it, it had been Mark's feed store.
Yeah, so Bonanza turned to, and it was Ponderosa. It
Yeah.
wanted to be Ponderosa. I
Same
don't even
thing.
know if Bonanza was a chain.
I feel like
could've
it's
been
probably the
another
same
one-off.
company. They were just doing like a A/B testing.
We ate at Bonanza more often though. But yeah, it became a Mark's feed store for a little while, and then the children's place took over that slot.
So we went in there and looked at it one time, considering opening like a cafe or something, and they had just abandoned like the burners and everything. There were dirty pans on the like they had just
Oh, they're
packed
just
up
like-
and left.
Yeah.
Walking away.
Oh, it's just so
You know.
nasty.
When you're done, you're done.
Hey, when you
Just-
declare bankruptcy, you
that's
can't
right.
take it with you.
That's right. You guys are both rocking your fresh roasted coffee mugs. So
True story.
Shout out to Fresh Roasted Coffee.
I am a little miffed that they don't have a logo on this side.
Yeah, we need to. We'll be like, hey guys,
Let's
print them
run
on both sides.
Let's run some demographics
That's
real
right.
quick.
Just do this.
The vast majority of people are right-handed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No knock to left-handed people,
Right.
but most people, vast
Majority
are
rules,
right-handed.
right?
So most time I'm going to pick my cup up as
Yeah,
a right-handed person.
No logo.
And so I'm showing everybody nothing. It just looks like a plain cup. And
Just-
it's got
you gotta-
this sweet logo
You just,
on the other
you just
side.
have to drink. You have to drink left-handed on the
refuse.
podcast.
That's asking for an accident.
I will refuse.
I drink- I
we
drink-
had that discussion on the
I drink
live stream
everything
the other
left-handed.
night. Left-handed things just don't happen in my home.
Yeah,
That's
I drink
not-
everything left-handed. So I don't know when it will happen. Our code has changed, so I'll make sure in the show notes to put our updated code in there. Because I guess they messaged and said our code got picked up by Capital One or Honey or something, and so
that
so our
Capital
our code's out there in the world, and
That
he was
Capital
like, "Yeah, we
One-
gotta make you a new one." So.
Capital One Shopping is taking over
Yeah.
everything. I was looking for something the other day. I'm sure it was something Traeger related, but it popped up the first search result. I didn't even see that it was Capital One.
Yeah.
I just clicked on it. It takes me to that Capital One Shopping where you're buying it through. I'm like,
Yeah.
what is this? They
Yeah.
are
So,
dominating.
anywho, our code used to be Chrome Unboxed, and that would get you 15% off your first purchase. But it's probably going to be unboxed
I wonder
now.
when people come across Honey or Capital One Shopping and they're like, "Here's a code." What is Chrome?
What is
on what now?
Chrome Unboxed? That's random. Whatever, I'll try it.
Google it.
Yeah. Let's see if it works.
Then they find us and they're like, "Oh, you."
Yeah, we have some cool stuff in the works with Fresh Roasted Coffee. More to come on that. But if you want some freshly roasted coffee delivered right to your doorstep,
Yes.
go check it out. ChromeUnboxed.com/coffee. Use the code Chrome Unboxed or Unboxed.
It's
I'm
so
not sure which one.
consistently good. Just so
Just
consistently
excellent.
good. Like, and we need to bring
This anniversary is so
maybe the next time
fantastic.
we'll bring the big thing.
Yeah,
Oh,
the
yeah,
canisters
back there.
are-
Yeah.
are dope.
Maybe we'll bring it in after the break.
Yeah, there we go.
But the canisters are so awesome.
Awesome.
I've seen Airscape as a brand before, but we were able to get some, a handful of the merchandise and stuff and try some things, and that was one of the things we're like, oh, this would be good because we normally get a 5-pound bag, and then we
we
would
have,
split them
like,
into these
20
little
mason
12-ounce
jars.
mason jars. And the idea being, like, if we put it in just a regular bag or something, we're going to be opening and closing, exposing all those
Yeah.
beans to
Less
oxygen
exposure
every
to
time.
air means
so at least
better
we're only
quality.
exposing one can at a time, kind of thing. And it worked. I mean, the system theoretically worked. It was just
'cause
when new coffee came in, it was like,
Yeah.
who's
Yeah,
going to do it?
because on,
Like,
a
Who's
good-
doing
on
it
a-
this time?
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
on a good day, we'd burn through a jar. So we never had any jars. By the time we got to the end and the new bag came, the last jar was still really good.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
It always popped. It was a nice
Yeah.
pop on the top because of the air compression in there. But
Anyway,
anyway,
these airscapes are awesome.
so yeah, we tried them, and I think they're 2-pound canisters, but they hold.
They
I
were
think they're
holding-
meant to have a good size
Yeah.
gap at the top, but they'll hold our whole 5-pound bag
Yeah.
between the two of them, and it's really awesome because they've got this kind of like plunger deal at the
Yeah.
top. You push it, and you just feel all the air being sucked out of the canister, and then you put the lid on, and
Yeah.
and so I mean
They're
we've
fantastic.
been able to put 2.5 pounds in. And like our other 2.5 pounds is underneath sealed, so we're not losing anything on that. And while we're using this one, it doesn't, because you are in it, you pour it, and you immediately get most of the air out.
when you seal it back up.
Yeah, it's almost like it's vacuum sealing it each time.
They're-
Not quite, but they're awesome.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool stuff. And yeah, we've got a handful of those. We got some other cool merch. More to come on that. One other quick housekeeping thing. We talked about this last week on the podcast, but it's all out and official now. We have fully launched our We've Got Your Backpack summer EDU giveaway
back,
with
back,
Logitech. We've got your backpack. That's
who,
what
who came up with
Yes, they
that?
pack required.
that was that's a Logitech thing. That was you don't put that on me.
got your
I like
back.
it. I love it. We
Back.
got your back.
Pack.
So it's fully launched. It's out there. We'll make sure to link it down in the show notes. But this is our largest giveaway we've ever done by far. We're giving away 30 Chrome packs. These are backpacks, Herschel backpacks, full of all kinds of goodies, and we're giving them to one educator or school faculty to outfit an entire classroom. So it's a very cool giveaway. We're doing a podcast series as part of this. Our first episode of that series is out with Kevin Yo from Google, and we talked with Kevin about works with Chromebook and that certification and how they test things and Come to find out, he used to be on the Pixelbook team, and so we had a little chat about that. And he's just a cool guy, and had a really great conversation with him. So check that out. And we've got 2 more episodes that'll be coming out this month. This giveaway is only going in the month of July, so don't wait to get entered to win. All K through 12 currently employed faculty, IT, admins, leadership, anybody that's in the school districts K through 12, make sure to go get entered to win. Okay.
I just thought while you had him on the line, you should have been like, "Hey, off the record, is there another Pixelbook? What's up?"
Yeah.
Like, just come on.
I'm sure
just
he would have given me
spill the beans.
I'm sure he would have totally told me.
I don't want any of the jargon. Just between me and you.
Yeah.
Don't tell anybody.
Yeah.
But just so you guys know, that did not happen.
Yeah.
We don't know anything.
No.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, and anytime we have asked a few folks from Google.
We always get canned responses.
And it's the right
they
now
got 'em in
we're
a holster,
focused
man.
on
Our focus is on our partners. And
It has been. It's been amazing that we've gotten access to some folks at Google because prior to the last year, we had one interview that was a couple years ago.
Yeah.
But normally you don't see anyone from Google, like Google staff, doing PR stuff.
Right.
Like
Not
you don't
really,
see them
no.
doing media opportunities. You'll see some of the bigger execs do some
Sure.
stuff, but even those are very selective.
Sundar sat down with MKBHD. Who else is he?
This past year at I/O, he sat down with several YouTubers.
Yeah.
And they had like a little studio set up for
Right.
them. Like they had the cameras and everything. Like they controlled it.
I'm sure they had
And
to
they
have
had
pre-approved
Oh,
talking
yeah.
points and
So it's been awesome. Shout out to our Google rep who has been helping us just get
Yeah, he's
these
been
awesome interviews. It's been amazing. And this one was kind of through Logitech and our Google rep to get the interview with Kevin. It was really awesome. He was traveling and super short notice, I think, and he hopped on, and come to find out he's a big fan of Chromebook and listens and reads all our stuff, which is always just crazy.
Yeah,
and I never
that's
know
just
exactly what to
amazing.
say, so I'm doing these interviews, and he's like, "Hey, like we were wrapping up, and he was like, I just want you to know I'm a big fan. Listen and read all your stuff, watch all your videos," and I'm just like,
Really?
Oh, that's amazing. Thanks. We're just a couple Kentucky dudes and some folks in Florida writing about Chromebooks, and guess people at Google pay attention, which is very cool. So
And odd.
yeah.
Yes.
So moving on to some news from the week. First thing, we've got a new chip, or a new kind of line of chips, I guess is what this will end up being.
Yeah,
I'm calling it
it'll be.
Mendocino.
Wow.
What did you say earlier?
It's like limoncello. Oh, Andy Mineo.
Andy Mineo.
Yeah, there you go.
Andy Mineo.
I don't know what the actual name of these will be like when they come out, but Mendocino or Mendocino, whatever.
Yeah.
They announced them apparently at Computex, which I didn't pay attention to that. I don't generally pay attention to processor announcements, like just general ones.
Yeah, and Computex has always been kind of a bust for us. There's been times where we've stayed up late and like tried to cover, and it's like there's never anything there that's really.
There was one Chromebook one time that was there. I remember somebody sending me an email or something.
Was the R13 Computex?
No, that was the one they announced.
That was
at,
in Taipei.
No, that was Berlin.
Oh, IFA, that's right.
September. But yeah, I mean, Computex is a pretty nerdy trade show. Like it's
not in our consumer lane.
Yeah, a little more technical a lot of times. Anyway, they announced this new APU, which is their language for their system on a chip, their SoC, their CPU, whatever you want to call it. And doing a little bit of research today, because I came across it in the repositories first. There's only 2 commits for it just in the last few days. They're adding, a reference board for Mendocino or Mendocino or whatever.
It's probably Mendocino.
Mendocino.
Now you got me on Mendocino.
I like Mendocino.
I'm not saying it like that.
Mendocino.
Hey,
Mendocino.
But their 2 commits just adding the reference board, and so I was like, what is this AMD? So I searched it and then found out that they actually announced this thing straight up at Computex, and we've already got Chromebooks being developed with it. But the idea behind it is kind of more of a mid-range device, something they're not trying to say that this is the next latest greatest chip that they have, but it's also battery conscious. So they're saying estimated 10 plus hours of battery life. And what was their other claim? They put dollar amounts on the thing, like $369 or I don't know. They gave us some random number, like mid-range prices, and they just said laptops. Obviously, it's not just a Chromebook processor.
Which it looks like they're doing what they did with the 3000. The mainstream AMD 4000 has been out since 2020, so I'm guessing that they have just kind of tweaked this the way they did with the 3000, because the 3000 had been out. It was pretty old hat by the time it came out on ChromeOS, but they made them just for Chromebooks. They put a little C at the end or whatever.
And I don't know that they'll have a special version of this with a C on the end. They've done that with their other ones. So like even the Ryzen 5000 series or a Chromebook chip. So it could be.
Do you think they actually tweak the chip to make sure that it's optimized for ChromeOS, or is it more of a branding thing?
Probably not. It's probably branding.
I mean, there might be some firmware stuff for the TPM and all that, but it's probably
the hardware's not changing,
because they announced back in March a new budget-friendly version of the 4000 series. It's like the 4000G. This is probably just the Chromebook version of that.
Well, I mean, this Mendocino thing is for laptops, so it'll be Windows and stuff too.
Oh, okay.
So it's not. This was not a Chromebook specific announcement. The fact that I found that it's going to work on Chromebooks is the kind of the news part of our stuff.
Gotcha.
They announced it just at laptops. They actually had a Lenovo, and that picture that's in the. Can you pull that article up? The photo that's in there. There's a Lenovo
IdeaPad 1.
Yeah, they've got a Lenovo, computer there, obviously, that's running, but it's a Windows device, and so. It's a laptop chip, but the big thing they're trying to do here is it's fanless, it's got long battery life, and it's got good enough performance. That's their kind of where they're going. So think, the higher end of Intel's small core or ARM powered devices. And so for Chromebooks, the real story is, we've started to get to this point where like your mid-range Chromebooks that are better, that are more fun to use and more interesting, are ARM powered ones.
Right.
Like, I can't remember the last time I picked up a small core Intel powered Chromebook and thought, wow, I like this. We haven't had any new ones. Like they're mostly like education, big bulky kind of, devices. And so, your detachables and tablets are all showing up with ARM inside, and whether it's Snapdragon or it's, the MediaTek Companion 828 or 820 or the 1380, we just released the review of the Spin 513. They're all getting wild battery life, and the performance on all of them is good enough to get you through.
Right.
And so, like, that is a sweet spot for a $300 to $600 Chromebook. Mm-hmm. That clearly is what this is going after. This whole
because that's the thing with Intel. Ever since the Gemini Lake refresh and then on to Jasper Lake, it's like you expect decent performance. Like most N4020s or whatever you pick up, you're like, I know this Chromebook's going to be fine for what most kids and basic people, not basic people, I didn't mean that. What basic tasks people are doing. I recommended the Lenovo 3 to somebody the other day. They're like, I need one for my kid. I'm like, it's $79. It's going to be fine. It's not going to lag. But like you said, there's nothing awe-inspiring about the actual devices themselves.
No.
Most of them are clunky
generic.
and generic. You're going to expect some chunky bezels, and they're plastic, and it's just like, whatever.
Yeah, and so like the interesting ones are ARM, it seems like right now. Like every Chromebook or high-end Intel. And, there's some AMD, the 5000, the Ryzen 5000 ones that are coming that we've had some hands-on with that are fast, but they're going to have fans. And, it's going to be the same thing as you see with the high-end Intel ones where, I don't know, there's just part of me that's getting to the point where Chromebooks without fans are something that I kind of like. I just, because it usually also means that battery life's going to be really impressive too.
Yep.
And, whereas I felt like fourth gen Intel, I'll never forget this. It was what is the name of that? I just remember it's fourth gen. It was before Broadwell.
Oh, Haswell.
Yeah. It was this huge breakthrough with Chromebooks. It was what the HP Chromebook 14 had in it. And it was this thing where we went from having like 2 hours or 3 hours on a charge on a laptop to getting like 6 and 7 hours. It was this big step forward in battery life. And ever since then, you expect, like, every year, the battery life's just going to be better. And what happens is the performance keeps going up, and so the battery life is better for performance, but it really
relative.
Isn't. Yeah, it's not better.
Yeah.
Like, it's the same.
It's not a direct correlation.
Like, I'm working through the review on the HP Dragonfly, and I would say once I'll run my normal test and see where I actually get, but I'm guessing based on having used it at home over a weekend, it's 6 or 7 hours.
6 or 7, yeah.
And honestly, for most people, for a work day, that's fine. Yeah. Because you can be on a charger a little bit here and there. You take it off, you get through your day and get done. But if you're in a spot where you had to keep the brightness cranked up and you were on a few calls or whatever, that thing's not going to make it through the day.
And that's the thing is, if you're doing something,
powerful,
if you're doing something that requires heavy lifting and you need those fan devices, you're probably going to be tethered anyway.
Most likely, yeah.
You're not running major Linux apps or doing gaming like Steam gaming and not plugged in. So you might as well go with something that doesn't have fans and is getting better battery life.
Yeah, it just depends. Like, to me, it's an interesting segment to be in. It's nice to see Chromebooks without fans.
Yeah.
They're thinner, they're lighter, and they're a little more attractive. They don't make any noise. Like,
you could use my Chromebook for a day, and then you'd love yours. Mine was off charge for 5 minutes and died. 5 minutes.
Canary
life.
Yeah. And HP isn't bad, and most newer Chromebooks aren't bad. The fans are not loud. It's not like, oh, that's so terrible, I can't stand that. But if you don't need them, it's kind of nice not to have to deal with them.
Do you think that Intel has just decided their kind of market, their segment? They're like, we're just, they were in one detachable, the HP, wasn't it an Intel?
Yeah, that was
like the only one, right?
Yeah,
they're just like, hey, our chips, like, we're not
good for this.
That's not what we're gonna do. We're gonna let all these ARM chips kind of do that, and we're gonna focus on the more powerful Chromebooks, and we're gonna let our chips kind of shine there.
They don't do Y series anymore, but they still do the mobile chips, but they do not market them to like premium lower end laptops.
And it's crazy, like that ASUS, the CX5400 has one of those types of chips. It doesn't need fans,
and it's great.
It's a great, it's still fast. It's not as fast as the fanned ones and all that kind of stuff, but again, that's the difference in putting it in a metal chassis and then putting it behind a display in a tablet. That's a lot. The Slate has an M3 in it. It's an Intel.
Right. That's right.
But like we've seen some of those fanless ones in slender devices. The Samsung Galaxy Chromebook is a perfect example. It just overheats and destroys the battery, and you lose performance. And it's just Intel just isn't built for that. And I think that's where this AMD, this line of chips that's kind of where they're pointed, because Tom's guide pointed out like the cores they're using in it. So it's Zen 2 architecture with RDNA 4 graphics, which is pretty close to the 4000 series AMD. I don't know a lot about AMD's chips, but I know how Chromebooks performed with the 3000 series. Really good when they're on charge. It was like 45,000 octane. They did drop down to like 25,000 whenever they were off charge. We've written about that. But that performance was good enough to, it wasn't like it was a handicap, to that Chromebook. And then you've got the 5000 series that are competing, I think, directly with like 11th gen Core i processors from Intel. So super fast, tons of processing power. So if the 4000 sits between those two, and I get 10 hours of battery life off something that has a performance bump over the last generation of AMD processors and doesn't die whenever I take it off a charge, that could be really interesting. Like, it'll be the first, and I put this in the article, like it could be one of the more interesting entries that AMD's had in the Chromebook space. Now, I don't want to discount the 5000 series because we haven't gotten them yet, so I haven't gotten time to use them and stuff, but I feel like it's going to be similar to using a nice Intel-based device, like nice and fast, and 6 to 7 hours of battery. And that's the thing is, I'm kind
of surprised that the market hasn't shifted that way already, because you look at your main flagship devices that you go to Best Buy and buy, not your premium enterprise devices, your main ones. They're i3s and i5s.
Yeah.
8 gigs of RAM. They're more power. Let's be honest, they're more power than your average consumer needs.
Yeah.
I'm surprised that we haven't seen a shift to more premium built devices with like a Pentium Gold in it, because you can get like an HP 14 with a Pentium Gold, and it has some of the bells and whistles, but I'm like, most people want all the nice stuff, but they don't need a Core i5 with all that RAM and all that stuff.
It feels almost like like a sports car problem. So like, if I wanted a Corvette C8, I love the body, I love the way the thing looks, I want all the features, I want all that stuff, but I don't need to go fast. Don't really care. So just put a good old little V6 in it or something.
Well, that's how kit cars became a thing.
Right.
I was out in LaRue County the other day, and there was a guy driving a Shelby Cobra, and as I got up closer to him, I mean, it was cherry. It was nice, but as I got closer, I could tell it was one of those that had like a Honda CRX engine in it. Right. It's like, cool. Hey, good on you, bro. Good on you.
And so, like, I remember being younger and thinking, like, why can't we do that? Why can't we have it? I like the outer parts of that car. I don't care to have that big old motor and all the gas guzzling and stuff. but part of like the outer part of the car almost needs to match the internal part.
Right,
like you have to, it's expected almost.
Those are performance pieces for a performance engine,
and it's unfortunate because I agree. I think it'd be awesome, but I guess maybe the Spin 513 is a closer version of that.
Yeah,
like, I mean it basically is the 713,
and that's the thing. ARM's doing it better than Intel ever has.
Oh yeah,
honestly. So
and honestly, a lot of these Chromebook makers could probably get away with saying, okay, we're going to make this Chromebook and we're going to make sure that there's the motherboards in place to do this, but or they don't even have to change the motherboards because if they stick with the Pentium
Gold, it's the same thing.
It's a core, technically a core processor, so the pins should be the same. Offer them with Pentium Gold options and drop the price drastically. Like if the option's there to upgrade the internals, I don't think that's a problem.
Because HP and Lenovo have done that with like the Flex 5 and the HP 14. The problem is they price themselves out of competition because like the Pentium Gold version with 4 gigs of RAM is like $50 less than the i3 with 8. Why would you buy
that? Doesn't make any sense.
Yeah,
so it's been interesting with Intel. So maybe this AMD thing comes in and shakes things up. I mean, clearly the ARM chips are doing that. Like the Chromebook that's up there, the 513, is a perfect example of this. It's this lightweight, thin ARM powered device that's quiet. It's very performant, and still's getting that 10 hours of battery life, and it kind of does all the stuff you want a Chromebook to do. Like I just really, really, really like that device a lot. And that's not to take anything away from something like the HP, but I'm like, it's $1,150 to start MSRP, and we've got the 714 on the way too, and so that's Acer's more premium. It's a Core
i. Is the 1100, is that for what, i3?
i3 8128.
Yeah.
And so I'm just like, because
just got all the other bells and whistles that jack the price up.
Yeah, but that 714 has most of it, and almost all more power,
Does it
more
have
storage.
A fingerprint scanner? I can't remember now.
Nope.
Yeah.
Acer did away with that.
Yeah, I think
2 iterations ago, and that's fine.
Doesn't have a haptic trackpad.
Once all the smart unlock comes,
it has a garage rechargeable.
As good as Acer's trackpads have been in the last handful of their devices, I don't care.
Doesn't matter. Trackpad.
One thing I noticed on the Best Buy listing though, it doesn't say 400. I think it says 320 or 340 nits, which there's nothing wrong with that, but we're kind of used to 400 on the Acer.
Well, they market the 513 is a 360 nit,
and you got 4 out of it.
Yeah, I got over 4. I don't know.
Whatever.
Strange.
Yeah, I mean it depends. Like measuring screen brightness is super weird. It's like measuring light when you're talking about lumens and a camera and stuff. Like where you're measuring it, how you're measuring it, and what volume, and like it's not as simple as even holding the thing up to the screen is like. Well, that gives you an idea. There's probably some super precise stuff that where I'm getting 400 something. Under this condition, it technically is only 360.
Right.
But man, that Acer though, if you haven't checked it out, go click the link in the article. They have a top down shot of it on the Best Buy landing page, and it's that darker blue color because it comes in 2 colors. This one's the blue. Is it slate blue or?
I don't remember what the color was.
Top down shot, man. It looks with the backlit keyboard. It looks.
Well, it's funny.
dope.
Like Gabe found the 714 listing at Best Buy and sent it over, and I was like, oh my gosh, because. I couldn't remember. There's been quite a few new devices.
I went back and checked. It was
August.
Yeah,
I watched the video, and I was sitting there. Acer told us, it's August availability. So I was like, I thought it was off a little bit before it was supposed to come out. And so here it is, and we've talked to our rep, and they just got them in today for review. So we'll be getting ours here shortly.
What's the retail price?
$729.
Okay. Yeah.
And so it's Core i5.
So you get the GPU.
Gen. Yeah, so you're getting that Iris GPU, which is super important.
Because you can't Steam game on the i3 yet.
Even though HP's website says that their i3 has the Iris Xe graphics.
False.
It's not true. It's definitely not true. But i5, 8, and then 256 NVMe.
Yep.
You got this nice bright 16 by 10, 14-inch screen, backlit keyboard, their awesome trackpad. Aluminum build, basically just like the 713, garaged USI stylus.
Did they put the speakers up top on that one?
Yeah, and I remember in my review, I was like, I don't want to say, because I had to go back and watch, because I kind of forgotten, because it was in May when we got it, and I went back and watched, and I'm like, ooh, I'm actually re-excited for this device again. Like I forgot how good it was.
That's funny.
We only had it for like a week.
Yeah, we didn't have it long.
It was pre-production. They're like, you can do your thing and you need to get it back.
And we have so many devices that are coming in the office now. It's like,
but it's what it's doing though is it the most premium Chromebook out there? No, the Dragonfly is right now.
It is, and I don't think anything's going to beat that.
Yeah, if you're talking spec sheet, if you're buying solely off a spec sheet, you're going to want something other than this, but you're going to pay for it. Value proposition and all of that. I mean, $700. It's only $30 more than last year's 713.
Yeah,
and it has everything other than the fingerprint sensor and
you can imagine it
trackpad.
Imagine it going on sale for $650, something like that, pretty regularly. And
which
now
Acer's
you're half
normally does
the price of the Dragonfly that has less internals, like half the storage and an inferior processor.
Yeah, because the Lenovo, the C14 showed up last week or this week too, and it's a clamshell. Granted, it's really nice, and this model has LTE, which is weird, but it was what, $1,050 or something like that. It's like over $1,000, and it's not even a convertible. It's not a touchscreen, so.
It's not touchscreen either?
No, it's just IPS.
Jesus. Yeah, that's through Lenovo.
And it's an enterprise
always
device.
A little inflated, but I feel like Acer's just kind of quietly hit the right slots right now at this point anyway.
Because HP will return serve with their next X360, and it'll be great, but it'll have a 250 nit screen.
Yeah, and hopefully they've learned from that.
Spin will continue to beat it as it has done for the last 4 years now, 3 years, 4 years.
I'm hoping HP has learned their lesson because in the call with Alex back for CES,
that's right.
he was like, I think you're going to like the screen. We listened. We heard you when you talked about it, and I didn't really dog on the C1030 screen. It's just like it's 13 by 5 or 13.5 3x2, but it's not as high resolution as the Spin 713. That's way less expensive,
right?
And the 713 is just continuing, and 513 just like it to deliver that Quad HD, really sharp, vibrant, great screen in these Chromebooks. And other companies have to decide, like, the screen is a big deal when you're behind a Chromebook. It's just a big deal. Like, when the screen is just kind of okay, I don't care how fast it is. I don't care how good your keyboard is. I don't care how many ports you have. I have to look at the screen all day long, like, and everybody else that uses it does too. And so, like, cheaping out on the screen is just a weird thing. Then you got like Samsung that does the opposite. Yeah, but we're going to cheap out on everything else, but we're going to put a sweet Quad HD screen.
And Lenovo looked like they had figured it out with the last Flex 5, but then the C14 came out, and it's 250 nits. You can get, there is a 300 option, but this one, that's $1,000.
Yeah,
it's 200. So I'm gonna as a business owner, I'm gonna buy these for my employees and be like, hey, here's this super powerful device. You can access all your Windows apps through Cameo and all this stuff.
You better stay inside,
but you cannot go outside.
Don't sit near a window.
Yeah, no windows, nothing. I'm like,
you have to work in a dark room.
Yeah.
Yeah. The screen is the main thing you interact with.
Right.
And having cheaping out on the screen is just taking away from the device.
Which I saw that the Samsung Galaxy Chromebook 2 360. What a weird device.
Yeah.
They don't even have, like, we talked to our Samsung regularly. We don't even have these for review.
No.
So we'll buy one eventually, I guess.
Well, they re-announced it at ISTE or BTT or something.
One of our readers reached out and said they got it, hoping it would be a great experience. And
we need to get one.
It's too slow. It's just too slow because it only
Screen's
comes in.
nice, though, right?
Yeah. But you've got the entry-level Jasper Lake processor.
Dual core, yeah.
So the most basic Jasper Lake with 4 gigs of RAM, and you're trying to push a Quad HD screen. But the screen looks great.
Yeah.
It's got the curved corners, and it's a 16 by 10 or 3 by 2. I can't remember, but all that looks great. But I'm like, what in the world? Or like
crappy internals, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you're pushing a lot of pixels. You need to probably
bump it up
a little bit. And it's like they just keep taking a step down. The next thing they're going to put out is just going to be like,
we've complained for years though about kids having to deal with garbage screens, and they're like, well, we'll fix that. Come on,
you overshot it.
Let's
there, guys.
not err both ways, okay? I mean, just
a 12-inch screen, 1080p is plenty.
1080p, 300 nits. That's all you need. Whatever.
Yeah.
So silly.
It's funny. Okay, let's take a quick break for an ad, and we're going to come back, and we've got a few other things to talk about, so stay tuned. Alrighty, welcome back, everyone. I went and grabbed our canister. Oh my gosh, it's still heavy.
Just do the pinch.
You can demo it over
Check
here.
It out.
So what's the brand again? Is it called AirScape?
AirScape.
AirScape.
I think it's aeroscopic.
So you get a nice lid up top that seals down with a nice little rim on this lid. Oh, well, listen to it.
Oh, smell that!
Oh,
the
shoot.
whole room just filled up.
Yeah.
With,
So yeah, it's a basic two-way vent, like right in the center, but it closes when you push the little handle down. So
you could have it fairly full and still put the lid on.
oh, it smells so good.
This is great.
So you push it in here, and the air will come right out of the center. Hear that?
Boom.
All the way down to the beans. Close that down, and that sucker is tightened
Sealed up. How sweet is that?
Boom.
And I just got an email from our rep, and our new code is unboxed. So there you go. If you want to go check out some delicious coffee.
HR shoving stuff.
What?
Nothing. Huh? You trying to push my phone off the table?
Darn it. I thought you were saying that I'm pushing coffee on people, and I'm like, that's part of what we do, man.
No, go.
I was like, what?
If you are a coffee drinker, you should get this. If you are not a coffee drinker,
They have
this
tea.
is the perfect way to start drinking coffee.
Right. Or they have tea.
I got this one of these for my dad for his.
Yeah.
Was it for Father's Day? It was for Father's
Father's
Day.
Day, yeah.
I got him one of those because I've enjoyed it so much, and he's a big coffee drinker.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Cool
just
stuff.
having some storage is pretty sweet.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. It's very cool. Okay, we've talked about it. You've kind of hinted about it, but let's kind of get into some of the details of the 513 review that we just put out. This is a device that when we first got it in, we were super excited to crack it open and test out the chip that's inside.
Yeah, because that was like the initial this
Excitement,
is a big deal.
but then it's like, oh wait, hold on.
You cracked
There's
the box open, not the Chromebook.
Yeah, not the
cracked it right
We
open.
did not.
That's
we didn't take it
my
apart.
shtick.
Gabe is the only one around here who voids warranties.
I used to for trackpads. I would open them up for trackpads, but
the voider of warranties.
we do need to
That's my
maybe
next-
open
my
it up
next
and see if it's got an
t-shirt idea.
M2 slot in it. Oh, it's eMMC, so it's not soldered. No M2 slot.
Hey, I know a company that makes a ChromeOS device that has eMMC and an M2 slot. Let's do that. Just saying.
Just see what's
Yeah.
going on.
I mean, you should do that.
Sure.
I would love it. I'd like it if Chromebooks would have, just add the slots in there.
Expandable storage, yeah.
And just have expandable storage, expandable RAM for most of them. You put a spot on the board for that.
Right.
One slot. Anyway, so yeah, it was that. Like, we were super interested in getting it and seeing how fast the Companio 1380 was going to be. That was the big question around this device, and I honestly didn't worry about any of the other parts. I just kind of assumed they would be a little cheaper.
Yeah, price
it's $599
500 level device. We were like, whatever. And
Yeah, it was $614.99, and now we saw right before we came in here on Amazon, it's at $599. Not marked down. It's just that's the price now.
It's deflation.
I don't know. It looks better. I mean,
it does.
That price just. I know it's $15, but it just looks better.
Hey, that's
our brains,
that's
man.
sales 101 right there, man. Something 99.
But yeah, as we got into it and started looking at it, I'm like, I think this is the 713 chassis. Like, it's the same screen. It's darker in color, but it's got the chamfered edge. It's got the same whatever alloy type stuff on the magnesium alloy type stuff on the keyboard deck, but the underside is also aluminum. It's thinner than the 713, so it's super duper thin. It's less than 3 pounds. I want to say it was like 2. I don't remember I put in the review 2.4 or something.
Oh, was it 4? Okay.
2.6, maybe 2.6. It's well under 3 pounds. Like, it's not barely under 3 pounds. Like, it's substantially lighter and thinner than the 713, and you feel it. Like, it just feels a little more mobile. And without the fan ports and all that
grab
stuff.
it by the corner and move it around.
Yeah,
I don't know.
the 713's awesome, but it does feel very industrial when you pick it up.
Yeah, and this one is a little more refined, but the backlit keyboard, was the only place I think that I would say, I don't know, the 713's never had a great keyboard either. It's always been a little clacky. This one isn't the same keyframe, but it's probably a cheaper keyframe, more than likely. But the trackpad is excellent, set in there really nice. It's got that same awesome 3x2, 2256 by 1504 3x2 Quad HD class display. I wish they would have went ahead and put an HDMI jack on there, but maybe it's a little too thin for it. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
But it's got the kind of more standard array ports, the C on both sides, the USB-A, headphone, micro SD card slot, and then it's fast. Like my concern with it was like, hey, you're putting an ARM chip in here with a quad HD screen. Like, is it going to be just too many pixels all the time, and it's just going to feel slow all the time? No, not at all.
What's did we benchmark it?
Yeah, it got pretty regularly. Got about 35,000 on Octane, and
really good.
At 87 was it? I think on speedometer.
Yeah.
And so I mean, these aren't like, oh my god, this is the fastest Chromebook I've ever used. It's
and
not that.
It pushes external displays just fine, right?
Yeah. So like even with my older super wide screen quad HD display, it didn't have a problem with it. It obviously works fine with the new quad HD screen. It did not push anything over 60 hertz. So the only ones that I've found so far that will do that are Intel based devices, and that's probably just a driver choice. There could be an update eventually where MediaTek's like, yeah, push it. Like it can push, because I'm pretty sure it can do dual 4K 60s out.
We need to have Victor back on the podcast.
Yeah, like
what's
it going to take? Flip the switch, man.
Flip it. We know you got it.
I want them hertz, man.
We know you got you got the goods in there. Come on.
I'm addicted to that 120 hertz.
Robbie's.
I really do like the smoothness of the display up top, but
Robbie's seen it and he can't unsee it now.
It looks so good.
Oh, yeah, I used to never care until I got that monitor, and then when I was able to start, like if I reset my Chromebook and then plug it up, I'm gonna tell immediately, and it's only the difference between 60 and 75. I can't imagine how smooth yours is.
Mine's
120,
75,
120 is nice.
I think.
But it's not the end of the world.
Yeah.
But yeah, it pushes multiple displays. I actually pushed 2 quad HD, so I plugged your monitor and my monitor and its monitor. So it's basically pushing 3 quad HDs.
Touched my monitor?
I did. I just grabbed your cable and took it.
We did all kinds of stuff to your desk while you were.
Oh, I know. Apparently there was a bunch of trash on my desk at one point.
I got a picture.
And then Robbie felt bad because I hurt my shoulder.
I was like, man, if he comes in on Sunday and trying to get some work done before I'm
just all bummed out.
I would have cleaned it up, but I wanted to see it.
There are other desks in the office.
It would have made me laugh.
But yeah, it's just great. It's a great Chromebook. It's got 8 gigs of RAM, 128 gigs of storage, and then this new chip. And there was just nothing to knock about it. I really, really liked spending time with this. And
prices, great.
Yeah, price is where it should be. I feel like
stylus
might go on sale even more.
Right?
It's not. There's no stylus included, but it's USI compatible, and it is one of the best USI experiences I've had. Like it was the one.
We got some good shots of cursive in the video. You can kind of see.
So when we talked about cursive finally being updated, and at least on a handful of devices is really great. This one was number one. I mean, writing on that screen was just fantastic.
It's like,
so I mean, and I said this at the end of the review, and I still feel that this is the case. Like when things calm back down, which it might be a few months for me, that this one's high on my list of ones that I'll like. This is what I want to put in my bag, like, and have. Right now, I don't have that luxury at this point. It is what I take home with me right now.
Oh yeah.
For most nights, like for the weekend, I'll take the HP home to kind of finalize my thoughts on some of the review stuff, but. And it's like, I don't know, the HP, the Dragonfly Elite, or Elite Dragonfly, whatever, it's not like it's surprising that it's good. Like, of course it's amazing. Like, look how expensive it is, and it's got every stat available, and
it's almost a double-edged sword because
it's
the expectation is very high for a device like that.
And the prices.
Yeah, if you don't do everything perfect, I'm going to hate you.
It's why the original Galaxy Chromebook failed, because the expectation was that this was the perfect Chromebook, and it wasn't that it had a couple quirks. There was a major glaring issue with the device.
Yeah, and so, and again, I don't want to take anything away from the Dragonfly or say it's not, like I remember the CX9, there was that issue of like, I don't know why I don't want to use this, and it's not like that. Like I really like the HP. It's really nice. But I don't know. There is a certain charm, I guess, that you do lose when you don't feel like you're getting a deal. I feel like that's what, this is not a knock or a dig, what most MacBook users have to feel like all the time. Like, I bought this thing, you're expensive as all get out, so any flaw feels absolutely ridiculous. Versus a Chromebook that's $600, you're like, well, it didn't do this.
Yeah.
Oh well.
Yeah.
I could buy 2 or 3 for the price of that one over there.
Yeah.
You know, and it's doing
Like
everything else I need it to do.
Like our old MacBook that had the worst keyboard I've ever typed on.
I felt kind of like typing right here.
Or any MacBook Pro without, an SD card reader.
Right.
What?
Pro, man.
It's
Pro.
If you're pro enough, you don't need that.
I haven't watched. Sorry to derail.
There's
but
a bunch.
Marquez has a good video where
M2
it's
Pro. Why
it's-
does this exist?
Yeah, and it's him talking back to himself in the video, which I think is just fun. I haven't watched it yet, so. But yeah, that is certainly the case, and there's something about the surprise of something, especially like the price is good, so you feel like you're getting a value with a $600 device.
Mm-hmm.
But then even then, a step beyond that, there's just something about this device that all comes together. We always talk about this kind of total package, and this is why we love reviewing devices. This is why we do this, right? Because you can look at a spec sheet and say, oh, well, it's got this and this and this. This is the best
this
Chromebook.
one's better, this one's not.
But there's this kind of, just everyday use of a device that really kind of, you understand what the device is about.
I always think about the Flex 5 when we saw it in Vegas, and we're like, it was kind of like, oh, okay, yeah, that's cool, but it's not as premium as all the other premium devices. And then months later, when we're in full review and the price and everything, it's like, this was really a sleeper. I mean, it was probably the best value of an Intel flagship of, what was that, 2020?
Yeah, that would have been CES 2020.
I mean, it was a great device because you could get it for like $350 when it was on sale.
There's something about that price does inform a lot of the opinions you have, even on a subconscious level. I had an email come in, and this is something we haven't even talked about this yet, but the readers. Ask where to go. I wonder if you would consider doing a Chromebook comparison that focuses on the admittedly not very tangible pleasure to use aspect. And they go on to talk about using the Pixelbook Go and how amazing it is and how great it is to use. And
still use it. I love it.
I've thought about that many times, making a video like that. They're hard to, because it's not tangible, it's not objective. It's this very subjective thing. But
just funny because we get criticized for that a lot of times, and it's like, you know what, at the end of the day, when you're a consumer, that is what it's all about. I mean, I can go look at a $60,000 car that has literally everything I could ever want, but if I don't like the car, I don't like the car. I mean, like Hyundai's new electric is like, it's all the rage and everybody's giving it great reviews, and I'm like, I think it's dog ugly.
The Ioniq?
Ioniq I don't
5.
like it. That's just me.
Yeah.
I didn't love it until I watched some more of the reviews.
Yeah,
and
reviews
like watching it drive down the road, watching it like parked next to other cars. It is available right now.
Buy it?
Yeah,
believe so.
I think so.
Okay.
Andy Cam?
Hey, you never know.
I think it is.
Electric cars, they're just like, oh,
Hyundai. I think it's Ioniq 5 is that one.
Because the one that's got me like all my attention, and I just keep talking myself out of messing with it, is the Chevy Volt EUV. So it's kind of the same size as my HRV that I have. It's electric, 260 I think mile range. Kind of the standard charging, all that kind of stuff, but it was already inexpensive, and for some reason they did something where they're knocking another $6,000 off of it, and so even the top spec with all the stuff and all the extra bells and whistles is like right at $30,000 brand new right now, and you can actually go get them like they have them. It's tough, but it's on the older battery chassis, so it's doesn't have, what is that GM's thing? You know what I'm talking about?
Yes, but I don't know. I remember
it's what Honda's even said when they finally do ever make an electric vehicle, they're going to build it on GM's base, like GM's battery frame thing.
Right.
They have a name for it. It was at CES when we went. And I think most American cars are going to get built on this chassis. I'm like, that's what gives me a little bit of pause. But having a car for 10 years,
these first runs, like these first kind of
Ultium batteries.
I'm like, just because that's going to be a standard across the board, charging stations and all that kind of stuff over the next 5 years will adapt to that standard. That will become the standard. And I just don't want to buy a car that I'm like, man, mine has that old thing in it, and I can't charge here or whatever. So, but I mean, that it's because the Ioniq's like 40,000 or something. So, I mean, the prices are coming down. They're getting down into reality now.
Oh yeah,
and so
more.
I don't need to buy a new car.
No,
I just paid mine off last year.
I want a Tesla, but I don't want to spend $60,000.
Yeah,
until $155.
Yeah, until their prices come back down to earth. It's just not in the realm of reality to me.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm just not going to go buy. Like, to spec it out, even leaving some stuff off on the Model Y, it's going to be $73,000, and that's not getting all the stuff I actually would want if I bought a Tesla. I'm like, That's insane.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to spend that much money on a car.
That's you can get a really nice BMW or a decent Mercedes for that.
But it's the exact same thing we're talking about with Chromebooks. If I spent that much money on a Tesla, guess what? If that gap in the door is too big, it's going to
drive you crazy.
Me because I paid this much money for this thing.
Or if the trunk leaks or whatever some of these issues they've had. Yeah.
They're just not an auto manufacturer.
Way to bring it back around.
There you go.
Way to bring it back around.
And
is the Ionic available?
Yeah, it's out.
They're shipping or available.
Yeah, I mean Doug DeMuro did a review on it. So.
Oh, interesting.
That doesn't mean anything. These electric cars are like, check this out. Can I go buy it?
Nah, it's going to be available in 2025.
Jason Bateman drives one down the road and says, this car is great. So it's got to be available.
Yeah, there you go.
Jason Bateman doesn't lie.
Perfect. So
he said it's great. He didn't
what a
say
weird
you can have one.
spokesperson, but hey, whatever. Yeah.
Whatever.
I like the Ioniq 5. I like everything I've seen about it. I'm like, I like that, but I just
still does have that like spaceship.
It reminds me of a Tesla.
futuristic-
It reminds me of a Tesla truck. That's what it reminds me of.
That's why I like it.
I cannot wait to see one of those on the road.
Eric ordered one, didn't he?
Oh, he's got two.
Oh my gosh.
Him and his dad.
Yeah,
Why
they'll
not?
get them.
Cannot wait.
They'll get them in 2030.
And they will immediately sell one of them and probably make a lot of money on it.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Somebody will buy it.
Oh yeah.
I want the Tesla Semi.
I think people are already selling their
pre-order
their
thing,
reservation, like their pre-order.
I thought Tesla would shut you down for that, though.
Oh, I'm sure if they got caught, they probably would.
I'd be
but
scared to death
people
to buy that.
Right.
Because like that feels like a super easy forgery job.
Yeah.
Waiting to come
now
your way.
both of you are a hose.
Yeah.
It's like
yeah.
it's like giving your PGA Tour tickets to someone else or the U.S. Open or whatever. It's like you're both now officially banned from life. For
Like, I don't know.
yeah. So.
Okay. Anything else with the 513?
No, I think that
that's
says
it.
enough.
It's great.
Thin, light, fast, good battery. Now it doesn't have like the some of the other MediaTek devices, like the Acer 514 that we reviewed. Just the clamshell Companion 828 had like 15-hour battery or whatever crazy it was getting. Like, I love that thing because I mean we still have it, but I can take it home over the weekend and use it all weekend and not ever have to charge it. It's really awesome that way. It's not that kind of battery life because eventually, I mean, when performance ramps up, battery life goes down. It's just
yeah. I mean, otherwise we'd have phones that had 4 or 5 day battery life,
right?
And it's just not going to happen.
Yeah. So when we get better performance, but we're getting Core i3 performance, and I don't know of any Core i3 Chromebooks, and we're talking fan Core i3 performance. I don't know of any of those devices that are going to get like easily cruise through 10 plus hours.
No, I mean
battery
my
life.
expectation for a fan i3 is 7 is solid.
Yeah, you're like, man, it's 7. You did good. Like I was getting 10 hours with that 80% screen brightness and no issues. So I mean, it is an advantage with the battery, and then again, just not having fans and it being thin and light and like it's just awesome. It's a great Chromebook.
Yeah, and just a surprisingly awesome total package.
Yeah,
kind of all comes together, and. If Acer's already dropped the MSRP, I guess.
Yeah, and it's weird they only have it right
or
now.
Sell
still
price
on
or
Amazon.
whatever.
Yeah.
I would assume it's going to show up at Best Buy soon.
Yeah, I'd be curious to
They
see.
sell everything at Best Buy.
Right.
Yeah.
It's weird.
It's not on Best Buy right
Nope,
now.
I checked this
Only
morning.
at Amazon. It's the only place you can buy
the only
this
two
thing right now.
new
Strange.
devices on Best Buy right now are the 714 and the Duet.
Is the
3.
Oh yeah.
which device was it that was selling on Amazon that came with the sleeve and everything? The Acer.
It came with the sleeve.
Yeah, like the Amazon listing had the
They
sleeve and
do.
Oh,
everything
the
included.
Amazon. That's the.
It's the 513.
514.
Oh, 514. Okay,
Mhm.
I was like, I knew it was one of those. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we've already mentioned. Let's see. We already mentioned the C14 and the 714 both being available.
Yep.
The HP under $1,000. We kind of mentioned that a little bit. You did. Which device is that you can?
So that's the i3, the entry
That's
level i3, 8 gigs, 128.
Yeah, because they didn't do they're not doing a Pentium, correct?
No.
It's just
Okay.
i3. Yeah.
i3 is the bottom of the barrel for that device, and it's only at HP right now. So again, I think we're starting to see with the pricing the way HP's doing this. $1149 is what that's supposed to cost. So they've knocked off, and do the math, $150-$180 off the or 160 off the MSRP. I think that's just what it's going to start going for, because we were told back in January probably entry level $999 is that gets us pretty close. That's
Sure.
$979, but it's under $1,000, which again, visually looks a lot better, and it's almost 100. It's $150+ off. So I mean, that's a decent amount of money. I think if you were ready to go spend that much money on a Chromebook to begin with, $100 isn't going to change your mind whether or not you're going to buy it. But it looks better, and it gives me hope that once this thing does get into a couple retail channels, that maybe we'll see one closer to 900.
But that is awesome though, because again, you compare that to the C14, which is very comparable specs.
Yeah.
But the Dragonfly is obviously a better device, and it's convertible, and it's touchscreen. Does that one come with the stylus?
The HP, yeah. So that's the cool thing. Like
nice.
what you're talking
So
about
you're going to
earlier.
drop a grand on the clamshell. You're going to drop a grand on the Dragonfly. I mean, that's kind of a no-brainer.
Right. And like the HP has these niceties that every once in a while I'll run into, and I'm like, it's just nice.
I like that. Yeah.
The fact that it comes with the pen and it magnetically sits on the side and charges the whole time. Like,
wasn't there something
really nice.
missing from the base model though? Is it the haptic trackpad?
Nope. It's got haptics. It's got backlit keyboard. It's got
like there
fingerprint
was
scanner.
something that they had omitted, but maybe not.
They might have gone with the full HD screen. I'd have to look at that. Which
my question
wouldn't bother
is
me.
though, is this going to be a enterprise channel thing, and then they do like, because you had the C1030, which was
remember it came out as the what they call
it's the
Chromebook 13.
Yeah,
or
it's the
something.
X360 13. They sell it at Best Buy for like $9.29. Are they going to do
the
that?
same thing?
Because
Who
if they
knows?
sell this thing at Best Buy, it needs to be the Elite Dragonfly.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
I could see them maybe dropping Elite off of it and just calling it
the Dragonfly.
Dragonfly Chromebook.
Yeah.
But it would probably was the one at Best Buy, the C1030. It was an i3 or an i5.
No, it's i5.
I feel like if they're going to ask that kind of money for it, they need to put the i5 in it.
Yeah.
i5 8256 is what it needs to be.
Yeah.
But they could do the 1080p screen. I feel like though all the ones available right now are all the Quad HD screens. I mean, it's all the outer parts like we were talking about earlier. Like they reduce the price because they reduce the processor. That's it. Like everything else that comes with that device, it's not like they've got trim levels of this Chromebook with, oh well, this one doesn't have the wireless charging stylus, or this one doesn't have backlit keyboard. Like they're all the same. They just change the internal storage,
which I like
storage
that.
RAM processor. Yeah, because most of that stuff's what's going to draw people to this device. Like, do you want all the bells and whistles? Like, and one of the key factors, like the 513, I talked about it a little bit in the review. We haven't talked about it yet, but they're doing a temporal noise reduction thing with their camera. It's software-based stuff, but the camera on the 513 performs better than most Chromebooks, even though it's still 720p cam. It's still grainy looking, but the dynamic lighting and stuff's better. Like it's trying to adjust a little bit for the environment. But what HP's doing with their 5 megapixel front camera is in a different league altogether. It just looks fantastic, and they put a lot of effort into that. They talked about it a lot at CES.
Yeah.
Of all the stuff they were doing with HDR and trying to get that camera to where it looks good for people who are having to do video calls all the time, and the speakers do sound great. They're not good on the 513, and so you start adding up all these little things. There are some niceties to that Chromebook that make it really awesome to have around. The keyboard is fantastic. I love typing on it, and the haptic trackpad. I never have to worry about, like, is the thing going to go out? Like, it'll always work this way. It'll never stop working that way. So I mean, there's some niceties for sure, and so getting it under $1,000 to me is like a really big win, because now that Core i3 12th gen is going to be crazy fast.
Oh yeah.
You know, as far as like day-to-day stuff, like normal activities, the only downside to that one is if you're like, hey, I'm going to buy this. I'm also, when that Steam game stuff comes out, I'm getting it. No, you might not.
Yeah.
You might not even be able to use it. Like, you might not be able to have the choice to do that.
Yeah.
Not just, it's not going to be as good. Like, they might limit it to i5s and i7s because of the GPU. So, you know, that's the only knock to that one. And right now, if you bump up to an i5, I think you get into $1,400.
Yeah, I think it's $1,479 or something like that.
So I mean, it's a lot of money.
Yeah.
Again, when you're talking about, hey, Acer's got this thing over here that's got almost all of those niceties we just talked about for
Half the
$700.
price. Yep.
Like, it's tough. But again, I don't think HP was looking at like, hey, we're going to build a Chromebook for the masses. Like, we're going to build an elite Chromebook, and we're going to sell it to businesses that want an elite level Chromebook. And if we sell some through other channels, cool.
Yeah, because for the gaming stuff, we know that there's probably going to be
gaming Chromebooks
line
coming.
of gaming Chromebooks will be out by the end of the year.
Yeah, if you're that into that stuff,
Yeah.
like, there will be Chromebooks built for that too. And again, just other options. Like, if you want to have a Chromebook that gets some stuff done, but you also want to make sure you can play some games and you don't have a huge budget, there are going to be i5 Chromebooks, again, just like this Acer. There will be more. HP is going to release a X360. ASUS has their 16-inch. I reached out to her rep on that one too. Hopefully soon.
Oh, that thing is gorgeous.
They are going to send us the 828 CM3.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
cool.
Give it
Check it out.
a try. But yeah, there will be options. There are so many. Like when we look at the number of Alder Lake Chromebooks that have not come out yet. I mean, there's a ton of them, more than any other Core i series Chromebooks that we ever had by 2 times at least. So there's plenty more coming.
I feel like we could get back to a place, because back in the day it was you built your own computer. You know, you got on Tiger Direct, you got your housing.
Send me my stuff.
You got all your stuff and you built it. That way you got everything you wanted and none of the excess. Now I feel like with ChromeOS Flex and what AOpen's done, because they've got that little mini PC that you can do Windows or ChromeOS Flex, we could get back to a point where it's like, I want to build a mini PC and I want an i5 processor and I want this much RAM and this much storage. I don't want anything else. Put a Ethernet adapter on the back and some ports, and then let me install ChromeOS Flex.
That would be awesome. The day that ChromeOS Flex gets the ability to like have Android apps, to do containers, and have things like Borealis and stuff as an option.
Yeah.
Like once they get to that point, like I think that's a reality. Like,
and I'm wondering like where they're at with Android, because there is an actual official list now of ChromeOS Flex devices that support Linux, but Android, I don't know if they're going to do. I hope they do, but I don't know.
I do too. I mean, I feel like it's too core of the part of the ChromeOS experience.
More so than Linux is.
Yeah, like it's almost like this is something that you all sell on your commercials and everything. It's always about, you can access the Google Play Store, blah, 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 blah. And so I think ChromeOS Flex needs to be able to do that. And the other container stuff too. And I don't think it's that it can't. They probably just want to make sure that when you start talking about this vast amount of hardware, like how do you rein that in to make sure it's actually going to work properly? And like if you were able to build your own device, like how would you know? And granted, when you did that back in the day, you just hoped Windows would work well. Cross your fingers.
Most of the time it did.
Waited for that sound.
Is there a works with Chromebook situation where, this processor, this type of RAM, these motherboards, that kind of stuff could all be, it's all works with Chromebook or works with ChromeOS Flex.
Yeah.
And if I buy from this category of stuff and put my things together, chances are good that ChromeOS Flex is going to be fine.
Sounds to me like a really good opportunity for a PC maker to jump in.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be cool.
Something great.
But ChromeOS Flex needs to come along a little bit, I think, before that becomes viable. Because right now, ChromeOS Flex is like, it's a kind of a thing you use. And if it works on your hardware, great.
Yeah, that's why I'm interested to see this Ace Mini, because it should be good hardware. It's a Celeron. It's not a great processor, but it's a fully customizable, upgradable ChromeOS Flex out of the box. Should be interesting. Oh, and I did get an email today. They actually they've changed it. ChromeOS Flex is actually going to come with a Wi-Fi adapter. The other ones are not. So, because they were doing just the Ethernet port, but they're going to do Wi-Fi out of the box. So it's essentially going to be a Chromebox when you get it without Android apps.
That's dope.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
That's pretty cool. Okay, let's switch gears. Let's chat about one other thing. So we've known that Face Unlock was a thing on Pixel 4, and it was using Soli, and Google said, we're forcing everyone to do this. Face Unlock is the future. Every Android phone's
if you have biometrics, you have to include Face Unlock.
Yeah, they never said that, but it dwindled and it
didn't work out.
Never took off. But there's some new reports and some new news out there that Face Unlock on Pixel 7 and is it 7 and
6 Pro?
Yeah, okay, 6 Pro. Could be coming right along.
Yeah, and there were reports that Face Unlock would launch with the Pixel 6 Pro.
Yeah.
And those early reports still hold weight. The idea being it wouldn't work on the Pixel 6 because the 6 Pro's front-facing camera uses dual pixel autofocus. All that means is in the sensor, there are 2 pixels bend right next to each other, and they can use the difference in what those 2 pixels see to create an autofocus mechanism. That's not new. Like dual pixel autofocus has been around for gosh, at least 5 or 6 years.
And why doesn't my phone have it?
It does, and your rear cameras do. Most modern rear cameras do.
It on my selfie
your front-facing camera on that one does not. Like the Pixel 6's front-facing camera is pretty mediocre.
Yeah, it's not great.
I did notice a big difference in going to the Pro. Like the front facer is way better on this, but it's not just hey, it looks better. Like there's something in that sensor that dual pixel autofocus that would allow for a little bit of depth mapping. So. Dual pixel autofocus is also one of the things that helped portrait mode get better years ago, because it gave the software the ability to kind of figure out what's behind what. It's not perfect. I mean, we're talking half a pixel basically of left to right. Enough. But it's enough for it to grab onto something. And so the idea now is, Google clearly is still working on this. It's in the Git repositories and stuff. You can see them like ramping up performance on this. So basically it has a thing when this part happens right here, there's a little performance bump so that thing can check my face and use the machine learning to get my face. Android phones have had face unlock on them. OnePlus has done it for years. I think OnePlus started with the 3T.
Yeah.
Like it's had face unlock for a long time. Samsung has done it. Samsung did some stuff with retina scanning for a little bit on some of their phones. But they just have basic face unlock too, and it's pretty good. Like I had the Galaxy S22 Plus. I tried to fake it out with a few different things. I tried a really good video on a high-res screen and try to put it so it's on my face moving, and try to make it about the exact same size as my face in the frame. I tried it with a regular photo, all that stuff. Nothing fooled it. So it was able to detect like, is that your face, and are you actually there, kind of thing. And so that's pretty good, but still not good enough. Like if my banking app doesn't accept that as a biometric authentication. So, but something like Apple's Face ID is that. Like, and Apple claims, and I don't know if this is true or not, or there's something they say, but that Face ID is more accurate than a fingerprint. Like it's more secure. However true that is, even if it's as secure as a fingerprint, for most people that's good enough. And for me, honestly, face unlock's almost good enough for most of these things. But just with a photo, and at least it can tell I'm actually there, not a photo, just a picture of me in front of the phone, kind of thing. But clearly, face unlock's already there with front-facing cameras, at least to that point. So it's like, okay, why would Google wait then if they're still working on this? And because 9to5 has like screen grabs of like the security setup thing where they had the language in there, like set up face unlock on the Pixel 6 Pro setup screens. Like it wasn't like maybe they're thinking about this. Like clearly it was very close, and they pulled back. They're still working on it. Like there's ongoing stuff. They found some new things that reference it. So the work is still going on, specifically for the Pixel 6 Pro. And so the question is like, what's the holdup? If other Android phones have done this already, if all they're going to do is the basic face unlock, I'm pretty sure you can do that. Right. So my hypothesis is they're going to use a lot of their machine learning AI algorithms to figure out a way, at least with a normal looking front facing camera, no big stupid looking notch, no big forehead like they had on the Pixel 4, to use a front facing camera that has enough tech for them to use machine learning algorithms to securely unlock your phone with your face without the need of any more stuff, because they've got really dope software doing some of that stuff for them. That's what I think they're doing. And hopefully ready to launch that with the Pixel 7.
Yeah.
Because that's a breakthrough feature. Like, if you can provide me, and you got to prove it, like, you're going to have to prove to everyone that this is legit. Like, you can't just be like, it's secure. Cool, trust me. Like, it needs to actually, you need to be able to prove it with some stuff. And so, imagine if they come out with Pixel 7 and they're like, yeah, it's just a front-facing camera, but because it's got this, and we've got our software, we've challenged this with blah, 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 and we can show you that it's as secure as a fingerprint, if not more so, and you don't need any specialized hardware up top. All you need is this camera and what we're providing. I mean, that's a huge deal. Yeah. To get face, like secure, truly secure face unlock with just a little pinhole cut out in your screen. Big deal. Yeah, they'll probably come up with some branding for it and call it something better than just face unlock, hopefully. Face ID Plus.
Face ID. Wow. Face ID Max.
HD Pixel ID.
Yeah.
Pixel ID. I like that.
Pixel Print.
Was there ever? Because
Pixel Imprint.
I was going to say Pixel Imprint was
that's how they started the fingerprint stuff for Android at one point. It's not dubbed that anymore, but I mean, I don't care. I don't care what they call it.
Yeah.
If they can prove and show that
Yeah.
they've created face unlock with a front-facing camera that is secure and can't be fooled, it would be great.
Yeah, and creating some sort of branding around it can almost give it some authenticity and make it, because
they'll they'll have at least a little bit, because I think even the next iPhones are going to launch without notches from what I've seen, but they're still going to have huge cutouts because they still have all of their little sensors, the IR sensors.
Just call it not Face ID. Can they do that?
Yeah.
Pixel 7 with not Face ID. I love it.
I like that. I think that could work. I think that could work.
Just say nay.
Yeah, but that is, I did not realize that it would roll out to the 6 Pro as well.
That's what it's been tested on now. There's actually nothing showing it being tested for the 7, because obviously they're keeping any of that stuff under wraps.
Sure.
But that's, I mean, when you follow the logic here, that's probably what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And if a dual megapixel or dual megapixel autofocus is the tech you need to make this happen, this hasn't.
There's one that you can use.
Yeah.
That's
dope.
amazing. I'm getting more and more excited about the 7.
I'm super excited for it.
Like, I don't know why at first when it was announced, I was like, oh yeah, like, there you go. There's the new one. It's cool that they're leaking it so early. We talked about that, in the last podcast.
It's going to be this refined.
Right.
That's all it is.
Right. And hopefully,
I love this phone.
And hopefully, just ironing out some of the stuff with the processor and making improvements to the processor.
I really hope that the 7 will put them in a place of consumer awareness. I went and grabbed the 6 the other day at T-Mobile, and no dig against the guy at T-Mobile. He had transferred to that store a couple months ago, but he's been doing this for a long time. Obviously, from talking to him. He's like, yeah, like one of my first days here, there was a guy in here looking around. I went and talked to him, and then come to find out it was our Google rep. He was in here to talk to us about the 6As that are coming out or whatever. And he's like, yeah, I've heard a lot of good things about the phone. Clearly, the guy knows nothing about the Pixel family of phones. And I'm like, Google's doing such a great job. It's time for consumers to really understand.
Takes
and
time.
The guys selling the phone should definitely be doing something.
That's part of it. Like, if they can get their carrier reps to
get on board,
take them a little more seriously. Yeah. But that's easier said than done too. I mean, because those reps, I worked in cell phone stores. Andrew did too. I mean, like those people are going to sell you the phone that they like, that they use. They're not usually well versed in, like, that's why I wasn't a good salesperson. I'm not a good salesperson, but I killed selling cell phones because I knew everything about all of them.
Right.
And a person could come in and I could easily match them with something that worked best for what they needed. And I could tell them every spec about every phone, because that was the main tech thing back then, cell phones. And so, that was the reason I was good at it. And most people didn't know, or they had one phone they pushed on everybody, and it wasn't the best phone, or it was too expensive for some people and whatever. And I don't know how Google incentivizes people to use them. I think you just take a chunk out of your budget, and if you're a T-Mobile corporate store, or you're a AT&T corporate store, or you're a Verizon corporate store, all of your employees can get this phone for $50 if they want it. We'll write it off. You can have it, or get it to them. Let them have the phone, because most of them aren't making that much money, and so a free phone is a huge deal.
Absolutely.
And so now it's in their pocket, in their hand, and once they use it, they're going to like it because it's a great phone. But until you do something like that, most of them use iPhones.
Yeah.
Or Samsungs.
Or the newest Samsung, yeah.
And that's
so you
all.
come in and you get everybody in the conference room and you hand out Blackberries to everyone. Is that what you're saying? I watched that episode last night. It was great.
Did phone manufacturers ever do like incentives where you all would be like,
they do spiffs and stuff.
This
Always.
month,
Always.
I always hated that. So I sold running shoes. I worked at a shoe store, and they would always we would have like the printout, the poster in the back, and we mark it off and see who gets there, whatever.
Yep.
I always hated that because I was, much like you, in that I was just a nerd about the tech and the shoes and trying to find the right shoe for someone. I didn't really care about that stuff.
Yeah, I hated those.
And I thought it was so dumb. But isn't it funny though that when you would do that was the phone that everybody needed at that time, or the shoe that everybody needed.
Yeah. And so like they need.
I don't want them to do that stuff, but too much of it.
Yeah, they just need to incentivize I think it's more important to get the employees at these stores to actually use your phone.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
they're never going to be able to sell it unless they actually try it. Like there were all these opportunities we would have to try these phones, and it's part of the reason I worked there. I wanted to try all of them, and I would try all sorts of phones, and I could easily tell somebody like this part's great on this. I specifically remember like when the Galaxy S2. The Sprint version of it was the slider. Remember the Galaxy S2, Samsung had not yet got to the point where they could tell every carrier to make the same phone. So the Galaxy S2 on AT&T looked pretty close to the normal Galaxy S2, like just big, tall slab. The one on Verizon had some weird quirk, but the one on Sprint was a side slider. It was like an ovally shaped.
Not even the same phone.
Different size screen. No, it's not at all.
It wasn't even a phone. It was like it was a pager.
It was a pager. They were like, you're actually not going to be able to make phone calls on this.
It was so bizarre.
People can text you.
Yeah.
But I remember the Nexus S was out around that time. And then the Galaxy Nexus was after that. We had both of those. But I remember there being a Motorola. I can't remember what it was called. But it was their first. Because the Evo 4G was the big one that people were like freaking out about. It's a 4.3-inch screen. It's huge, And it was HTC's phone for Sprint, and it sold like crazy. And I had one, and I loved my Evo 4G. People loved it. And then they went and made an Evo 3D. It was the stupidest thing I've ever seen.
Dumb.
Like had like this, like you get on cards, the screen that you look at it and it looks 3D. It's the stupidest thing I've ever seen.
People went blind. It was great.
But right in that time, Motorola had one. I can't remember what the name of it was, but I remember it had angled. The edges on it were angled, so it's not just a square. The top and bottom corners had like a 45 cut to them. And that phone, like, it felt like this is like the Evo and the Samsung Galaxy S2. It's the bigger screen, It's like, it's basically the same, right? But the screen was kind of on it. And I remember that's when I started becoming knowledgeable that, like, oh, not all screens are the same. Like, there's some ones that are kind of trashy here. The cameras were terrible on it, but it had a bigger screen. But back then, Motorola made the best antennas. Like their antennas and their radios and their devices were so solid because they worked with Sprint on the whole Nextel push-to-talk things and all that.
Loved
junk.
my chirp phone.
And so they were all about connectivity, and so the phone itself wasn't great, but man, I remember having that phone next to my Evo 4G and being spots where the Evo would barely pick up a signal, and this Motorola thing's just like tanking it, like absolutely killing it with data and stuff. I'm like, what the hell? Like, why is this so different? But that's a perfect example of being able to know these phones. And so if somebody came in, they're like, I don't care about any of that stuff. I don't get a signal at my house.
I just want a good signal.
I need to be connected. Yep.
Go get that one, because I guarantee you that one will stay connected when everything else is going to fall off. And like knowing that kind of stuff around it, I wouldn't have known that unless I had the chance to use it. And and we had opportunities to use these phones and actually put our service onto them. We didn't have SIM cards. Sprint didn't do SIM cards, but move service over to these phones and use them. And that was so much more valuable as a salesperson to be able to tell somebody from experience how something works.
Yep.
Instead of selling something because there's an incentive to win $100 or whatever.
I'm hearing a great editorial article coming together here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Sounds like it.
So Google, get to the employees.
Yeah. It's a great point. I hadn't really thought about that. But that makes
since clearly
sense.
Best Buy is becoming the channel for Chromebooks, all premium Chromebooks.
Yeah, let those employees.
I mean,
have some
Google's
Chromebooks.
so tied into Best Buy, and I know they have corporate trainers and companies that do all that, but it just seems like Best Buy isn't interested in having their employees. And I know you don't get the software incentives and all that stuff, but I'm like, I think you're missing the boat. I really do.
And it's not just about having the stuff there or even incentivizing them to sell from a monetary standpoint. Like, get them into the product. Like, let them see the product. Because, again, you got to think a lot of employees working in a Best Buy, for instance, are making a little over minimum wage or whatever. If they're not a manager, a shift leader or something like that, they're there. That may be their first job or whatever. It's a job they just took or and they're out there just trying to help people find stuff in the store. They don't care about that Chromebook. Like, why would they care about it if they hadn't used a Chromebook, or if their only experience is, I had one of those in high school 3 years ago and I hated it. Like, it was a piece of junk, and I vowed I'll never use a Chromebook, because they use the cheapest possible thing in their high school. Whatever the story is, what if those employees had the opportunity to have a Chromebook, to use one for a little bit or something? I don't know. I know that's not cheap to do that. But when you're talking about sales channels where people are incentivized to sell stuff, they know the product a little bit. It's a lot easier to do so. And I know that's an odd way to go about doing it, but I kind of
Google has
you got some funds,
some small resources that they could pick a few devices and say, hey.
And if it was just like, hey, there's 4 Chromebooks at every store,
right?
Like,
doesn't have to be anything
the store
crazy.
gets a budget to buy 4 of the newest Chromebooks. They're there. You can check them out because it's a Chromebook. Check it out. You can check it out for a week and use it. Log in when you're done. Power wash it. Put it back. Like they could easily get these employees that don't really care about Chromebooks at all to go, oh, this is actually kind of nice. Like I like using this. And matter of fact, I might go buy one for myself. And so the next time somebody comes in and is going to go purchase a Windows device and doesn't really care about having any of the stuff that comes on that, they're going to be way more apt to be like, check out the Chromebook. Like, we get to use one of these, and I didn't think I'd like it, but I love this. I mean, that's an easy sales move. But, people that are doing sales that don't know anything about it, whether it's a Pixel or a Chromebook, it's because of the lack of familiarity with the product. They're not scared of them, but it's the same thing as fear. Just because you're not comfortable with something, a lot of times we have a tendency to just shy away from stuff. And so, unless you get them that familiarity, that's not going to change very much. And with cell phones, especially the Pixel line, cell phones get sold at carriers in the States. It's just the way it is. Like, Google tried to sell phones online for many years with the Nexus, and they sold, 18 of them, I think? I bought 6 of them.
Might have been one extra zero. So. Might have been one extra zero, but that's probably it.
They just didn't sell that well.
It was a very niche product for sure.
Well, and you're trying to sell something to somebody that can't see or touch, and that nobody else knows about. They can't go and walk in the store and see it, feel it, and to think that the cell phone market has gotten where it is. It's basically Apple versus Samsung for the most part. It's easier for consumers to go in. It's either Android or iPhone. It's Samsung or Apple. And that's it. That's the end of the conversation. So now Google's trying to wedge themselves into that. You're going to have to go do some extra stuff at this point.
They're spending some money on advertising. They're trying to get the word out there. I saw.
But again, if you see a commercial and you go in like, have you heard of that Pixel phone? And the sales guy who has never touched it, knows nothing about it.
They're like, oh, you want an Android phone?
Go
get this one.
Let me tell you, I use the Samsung.
Go grab this one.
Then they're going to just be like, oh, this guy, he works here. He knows what he's talking about. And they don't. I work there. And I work there. A lot of people had no idea what they were talking about.
How many times
any of you are listening, you know who you are.
How many times have we driven up to T-Mobile to get the latest OnePlus or whatever other phone, non-Samsung phone? I mean, we walked in there and got the 8s. And she was honest about it.
Oh, she still every time I see her in there, she's like, "Oh, he told me all about this OnePlus."
He's the OnePlus
because she was
guy.
like, "Yeah, we've got training videos we're supposed to be watching today," and it's like the phone released today, and we're here to get
and watched videos, huh?
Yeah, okay.
And so she, I'm telling her like I was selling her on the phone.
Yeah.
Like she's like, oh, I need to check this out.
That's what you do, man. That's what you do.
But I'm like, all it takes is if you had taken the time to actually use it for a little bit, and that's the other thing. Like a lot of cell phone sales reps aren't actually tech enthusiast type people.
Nope. It's just
a
job.
They're just selling a product. And so they have even less incentive to go try out this next new phone that came out because it's like, hey, whatever.
Not super into it. It's isn't a hobby. It's not something I do for fun.
But the thing is, Google's at a spot right now that's interesting because there's not that many. Like 5 years ago, it was way more difficult because it was like when a customer walks in, is it Samsung? Is it Motorola? Is it LG? Is it... Who else made phones?
Some Huawei's maybe floating around back then.
Yeah, Huawei's were around, and OnePlus, and or just one Apple phone, and so that's why Apple won in that. But now they're juggernauts they got to fight against. But at least the choices are way less. Like you walk into T-Mobile, and there's not much option anymore. And so if they can create a presence and get some of the salespeople there to realize, like in a lot of ways, the Pixels are superior products to Samsung devices, to the Galaxy phones, but it takes using it. Like I can't show you that this is better than a Samsung Galaxy S22 Plus by just going like, here you go, see it? Do you see how it's better?
Look at the glass and metal.
No, it's a colorful screen and it's a curved display. It looks the same, but I promise it's better. Just look at it. See how it's better? Yeah. Like there is no better out here. It isn't better, but the software on it is better. The experience of using it in a lot of ways is better, and so. you can't tell someone that. You have to be enthusiastic about going, oh, I know you're looking at that Samsung, but have you thought about this? Because I used it, and this, and this, and this, and they're really awesome, and the camera, and da-da-da.
Yeah.
And that's the way you get to, I think, because Samsung did that, a lot of that. They incentivized with devices a lot when I was working there.
Oh,
that was
really?
early on. Like, if you do this, you'll get one. Like, you can have one. And I think Google needs to go a step beyond that. Like, give them phones.
Yeah.
Let them have it. Like the whole store, give them all a phone.
I take back what I said. We need a poster with 20 spots, and if you sell 20 pixels, you get a free one.
Yeah, but seriously, I mean, they send them to tech reviewers much smaller than us. So I mean, they obviously have the inventory. They gave them to us at a Google event one year. So just send them.
Enough for your store. So your store, tell T-Mobile to say, hey, all you got to do, store fills out the thing. Here's how many employees I've got. Boom, you get a spiff.
Yeah.
Everybody can use it, and they go in, and I'm going to upgrade. On my account, I got a free upgrade through T-Mobile. T-Mobile at the end of it goes, hey, that cost us $4 million. Google goes, psh, there you go.
Yeah.
Paid back.
Or it's
Here's a
tax
check.
write-off, whatever. Yeah.
Actually, here's a duffel bag.
But at the end of the day, I mean, compared to what they're going to spend on advertising,
Right. Oh, it's a
It's a drop in the bucket.
yeah.
it would be a simple way to go about getting a lot of employees.
Anybody in the marketing PR team over at Pixel, just give us a ring. We got to
There you
figure
go.
it out.
We know it.
This is a great idea.
We know stuff.
This is great.
I haven't been in the phone industry for a while, so I'd write this. People would be like, "That's what happens already." They offered it to me, and I chucked it over there in the drawer.
I just didn't.
I said,
use it.
Google what?
Yeah.
No, I'm pretty sure that doesn't happen.
Let's go Let's go chat with our friends at
The last
T-Mobile.
time I went into a T-Mobile, the guy that was checking me out was like, "Man, I'd love to get one of those."
They
I
just don't.
I'm not. I just upgraded my phone like 2 months ago and
Yeah.
stuff. I'm like, okay, so you clearly don't get phones handed to you.
Yeah.
So I don't think that's the case.
Yeah.
Because I get it. It would be expensive. But what a crazy move that would be.
Oh, that would be awesome.
Save, can 2 commercials and
Right.
take that money and do this with it instead.
Which blows my
Or-
mind. I mean, I worked in car sales, and some car dealerships. Like when I say dealership, I don't mean used car dealerships. I mean like dealerships.
A new car, like a
new
Ford dealership.
Yeah, a lot of those bigger ones, they do demo cars. So they'll take a new car, they allow their employees to drive them as demos, and then they're allowed legally to depreciate them and then sell them, whatever, kind of like a lease. Where I worked, they didn't do that. We got to pick our demo from a low mileage used vehicle of the brand where I worked, which was Ford. What better way to familiarize your employee?
Absolutely.
I was a master certified. I had every certification that Ford offered. I knew Ford cars front and back, but I couldn't look you in the eye and tell you why I liked a car or why I didn't like a car unless I drove it.
Yep.
So every week on Monday, I would pick out a new car, and that's what I drove for the week.
Yeah.
And then on the weekends, I would drive a Jeep just because. Because there was one there.
But I mean,
These new electric Jeeps look so awesome. We're
itching for that electric car, man.
we got to figure out a way that Unboxing Media is going to get.
And then we fight about who gets it.
Yeah, who gets to drive it this week?
They've got it's not for sale, but they had the demo Lightning down at Ford last week.
I have an idea.
Oh.
So
We buy a sweet electric car. We do whatever we got to do for Chrome Unboxed. And then each week we play a round of golf, and whoever wins gets it. For the
I
week.
like that. Except that you win most times.
It's not true.
that's incentive to improve our game.
There we go. Yeah.
I
like it.
I'm not saying Robbie obsesses over his game, but Robbie
I
does
obsess over it.
Yeah, he
100% obsessed. I think that's the right word.
Yeah, he's very focused on fine tuning his swing and fixing problems. I'm not at
Trying
a
to find
point
the proof,
right
some might
now where I'm doing that. I will work on my swing a little bit at the office. I do have a couple of clubs at home that I will go in the backyard occasionally and hit, but I don't spend the time that he does.
I mean, I have training aids in my living room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No big deal. Like you do.
Whatever.
Like you do. All right. I think that's it for today. We appreciate you all tuning in and watching and listening. If you're watching this on YouTube, well, if you're not watching this on YouTube, I keep trying to figure out my way to work into this. Basically, what I'm trying to get at here
You should be
is
watching on
we
YouTube.
have
So
a
much more fun.
YouTube channel where you can
What?
watch this. Yeah, you can watch this show. Andy Cam does some great little Easter eggs. He throws in all kinds of good stuff.
Just Google, or
like
just-
his cool shirt today.
Just search the Chromecast, all 3 words.
Yep.
Podcast.
Boom.
You'll find it.
You'll find it on YouTube.
find
And
it.
if you are watching on YouTube, make sure to subscribe, give us a thumbs up, hit the notification bell icon because that helps us with the algorithm, gets gets our content out better to everyone who wants to see it. So make sure to do that as we get a little closer to 10,000 subscribers on this channel. We're going to do a sweet giveaway.
Yes.
We have
Is
stuff
it a
in
Tesla?
hand. It is.
Not
We are
quite.
giving away.
Yes.
No, we're not. We're giving it away to us.
Yeah. We're not
It's a
giving
little
away a Tesla. I'm
It's a
sorry.
little toy Tesla.
Yeah, it's, it's a Hot Wheels.
It's a yeah.
Doesn't even have any
No,
motor.
the little kid one that the kids have to
Can we
drive
just get an
around.
RC one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what we're gonna get. All right. We appreciate you all watching, listening. We'll catch you all next week. See you.